This is Mike with the Quality Sportsman. I just got a delivery that I'm hoping is going to take my reloading game to the next level from both an efficiency and a performance perspective. Let's cut into it. All right, so I just got this FX120i Autotrickler combo. This is, for all the reloaders out there, this is kind of like the premium level automatic powder trickler scale combo. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like. Wanted to do a little bit of an unboxing here with you all, cutting into it real time. Hopefully it's good. So the Autotrickler and the scale are two different products, but you can find some companies that will sell them together as a package, which I believe gives you a little bit of a discount there. So here's the McDonald Innovations Autotrickler. That is what will actually drop the powder onto the scale. And then this should be the scale itself. Yep, and the FXI electronic balance. All right, let's get this box out of here. All right, so let's take a look at the scale first. So while I'm opening this, I want to talk a little bit about why I got it. I've been reloading, actually you can see back here, with the RCBS Chargemaster. And honestly, that's been pretty good. When I first got that, I thought that was like the best thing that you could ever get. But reloading with it is kind of a hit or miss experience. That's the best way I can put it. What I mean by that is it's heavily dependent upon the type of powder that you're using. If you learn a little bit about different powder types, there's different shapes of the powder. And I noticed when you switch to something like an extruded powder, which is kind of like these pretty fat or pretty large compared to some of the other types of powders like cylinders. It's basically like if you had a thing of spaghetti and you chopped it into little tiny pieces. That was having a really hard time metering out of the Chargemaster, and what happens is it gets really close and it slows down, and then all of a sudden a big dump of powder comes and you go way past your desired charge weight. You have to start over. And to load like 100 or 200 rounds, it was taking me a really long time because there were a lot of redos, and my SDs, and I'll explain a little bit about what SDs are if you don't know. If you get into reloading and performance shooting, that's something that you'll, part of the lexicon that you'll want to learn. But my SDs were suffering, so I wanted to get this scale, honestly, mainly from an efficiency perspective, because all the reviews I've seen on it was that it's really good at getting you exactly that charge weight no matter which type of powder you're throwing. And I don't have all day to sit back here and reload. I get really annoyed when it takes longer than it has to. While I enjoy it, I got a family and a lot of extracurriculars going on. So that's kind of one of the reasons that I was looking at this scale. Also, as I get into more precision style rifle shooting, it is important to me that my loads chronograph consistently, and I want to see if I can get some better performance out of it as well. So it looks like we got a couple different pieces here. I guess they're going to require some assembly. This looks like the balance plate and part of the cover, and there's the scale itself. So this, again, I'm not a scale expert, but this is known as one of the more precise balances or scales that you can get. I think we're done with this box. Here's the scale itself. So really what the plan is, or what happens here, is that the Autotrickler has a kind of like a data port cable that feeds into the scale, and that's how it gets its data, but these are actually developed by two different companies. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see how it works. This is actually, like, this scale is sold in many different applications well outside of just the reloading community. So it looks like I got my scale here. So I got the scale here, a couple other components. I'm guessing this is a charger. Yep, charger. This will be the scale balance plate and a few other components. Another thing that's interesting about super precise scales like this is that even just, you know, the air moving around, the air pressure, wind, or whatever you want to call it, draft, can, you know, tip them off a little bit. So they come with this little cover. So we'll go ahead and put that off to the side now. We'll get that assembled later for the sake of, or off screen for the sake of time. Let's go ahead and cut into the Autotrickler. Okay, look at this. It's like a nice piece of machined aluminum there. A couple motors on it of some type. Oh, I know what this is. So you have to replace the original cover. Oh, this is nice. You have to replace the original cover for a spot where the, I don't know what you call them, spouts, the powder spouts would come through. So that's why this is with the Autotrickler and not with the scale. So that's pretty cool. Man. This one looks like a powder popper. Pretty cool. This is the because machine works. And this is your powder cup. That's pretty cool. And some components. All right, well, unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to have to read the directions. I don't think there's any way I'm getting this together without it, and that's okay. Kind of expected that. So let me go ahead and get these set up, and then we'll move them over to the reloading bench and do some tests and see in real time. So I just finished getting the scale all set up here. It wasn't too bad. The scale itself has a lot of directions, which are mainly around you know, how to treat it properly since it is a precision instrument. The Autotrickler had a few directions, nice little booklet. It was a little confusing at some points. The pictures were so zoomed in, I didn't really know what they were talking about. I was actually able to just kind of figure it out on my own. So not too bad, maybe like 15 minutes from start to finish. So the next thing we got to do is find a nice spot for it on my bench, plug it in, and then configure the settings for the scale to talk to the Autotrickler over the serial port. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now that it's in its home right here, it actually needs to be leveled. It has some leveling feet here. Let's see if we can get this thing. Oops. Oh. All right, got leveled here. Now, one thing I'm actually going to do once we finish this video, I'm going to actually move this to a completely separate bench, which starts right over here, which you can't see. The reason I want to do that is I like to, you know, dump powder into a casing, put the funnel back, or sorry, put the powder cup back on the scale, and then press the bullet to complete the full round while the next load is trickling out. That's kind of how I like to do it just for efficiency. But I'm curious to see if I will have to do that if this thing really is fast enough that I can just, you know, fill 100 cases with powder, then go over to the press and press it. But either way, you don't want your, if you're doing something like that, you don't want your press and your scale to be on the same bench. Even though I have this thing bolted to the wall studs here, it will still move it enough to either dump some powder out or give you some variation in that scale and slow it down or potentially make you have to throw another load. So just a consideration. I'm going to get this bench cleaned up and moved over. But for testing today, we're going to go side by side right here. Also, don't ask about my neon lights. I just kind of like them. I don't really have an explanation for that. Okay, so it says we got to configure the serial port settings. Only needs to be done once. This so far, all these settings were already in there. I wonder if they pre-configured, but I feel like they would have said that. Let's keep going. Oh, free Autotrickler app. Cool. All right. Well, I had actually no idea this had an app to control it, and that's going to be a problem because I'm videoing on my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and install the app, get it running. Okay, so this isn't just about being faster, it's about being more precise as well, but really with only these two scales and no control or no better scale, I don't think there's really a way to show how precise it is. I could weigh the Chargemaster on this scale, but I feel like that wouldn't really be a good test. So I'm just gonna do a test to see which one's faster now, 38.5 grains, and let's see if we can do side by side. Oops. I got a head start on the Chargemaster there, and it went right up to 38.3, which is pretty close. Okay, so the Chargemaster won that one. Why is this going so slow? Oh, you know what? I don't have this opened up all the way. Okay, I'm going to have to redo this one. Oh, and look at that. The Chargemaster is already up to 38.7. So this has been a problem with the Chargemaster is it will, as it's rising, it'll dump a bunch. As it's rising up through the target weight, it'll beep. It'll say count, 10 for the 10th round. And then when it comes back, it will actually be over, which is super annoying. So I was throwing some of those charges after I was hearing the beep and not realizing that it was over. So this is good. So this one took a long time, but I actually had the funnel kind of slightly closed. So we're going to need to do this again. Let me see if I can put them back on at the same time. Okay, and we're off. Well, the Chargemaster took a little longer to figure out it was balanced. Wonder if you guys can see this. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Okay, so the Chargemaster thinks it's done, but I doubt whether it's actually done. Okay, so this is within 0.02 or 2 hundredths, so that stopped as well. So pretty close. I think the Chargemaster won that one. It looks stable. For kicks and giggles, let's put the Chargemaster charge in here and see what it says. We know that that this one is a more precise scale, so I'm curious to see. Okay, so that's actually not bad. 38.52. Okay, so you see that took a long time for the Chargemaster, and this is kind of my issue with it. Like, it has the potential to do really well, but sometimes it's very it's not consistent at all. So that's what I don't like about it. Like, sometimes it'll run great. Sometimes it will get in this pattern of dumping a lot of bad loads in a row. So. Let's see. Okay, the Chargemaster thinks it's done. Whoop. The FX and Autotrickler is over. And it didn't alert me, so I'm going to have to... Oh, let's see. Okay. Let's weigh the Chargemaster powder on the FX. 38.5, so that's actually pretty consistent so far if we trust that the A&D scale with the Autotrickler is actually a more precise scale. Okay, and the Chargemaster wins again. What I'm gonna do, let me zoom out here. Okay, so we've done some preliminary testing. What I haven't done is I haven't gone into the app and actually tuned the settings, the speed settings on Autotrickler. So I'm going to do that now just to make sure we're not missing out on any performance. So far, the Chargemaster has been beating us, but actually, as I talked again, let's see if we can show it. The Chargemaster went over, and initially it told me it was good to go, and then it took a second to think about it, and I realized it was 0.3 over. So again, this just captures my issues with the Chargemaster, that it's just inconsistent. It has the capability to throw good charges every once in a while, but those settings are really touchy, and it's annoying to kind of, be inconsistent like that. And I don't like when it actually throws over and it just beeps at you the same. So maybe that's where the green light will shine on this Autotrickler. But let's go ahead and tweak the settings and see if we can get more performance out of the Autotrickler. Oh, that got me really close. Oh, I love it. That was fast. Oh, and see the Chargemaster, sometimes it tells it you think it's really fast, but then you look and this is 38.7. That's 0.2 grains over. Okay, so let me just share some of my thoughts here. I think that, I think the Chargemaster is certainly going to do fine for most people. This A&D FX120i Autotrickler combo really seems to be for the folks that want to get as consistent loads as possible. And they're willing to spend as much money, do everything they can to get that. I was looking for it from an efficiency perspective. While I want my loads to be consistent, I was doing pretty good with the Chargemaster. I was getting, my average standard deviation, or SD, which is something that people use to measure their velocity bell curves in reloading. My average SD is like, 15, 16 with the Chargemaster. So I'm gonna have to do that test next with the A&D scale and the Autotrickler to see if my SD is down. But even that for the Chargemaster has served me really well. I was really hoping this would be a lot faster and more efficient. While side by side, it's not so much faster. Where I think it is going to shine is that it seems a lot less susceptible to overthrowing compared to the Chargemaster. And I just got this out of the box and have barely tweaked the settings, just one or two tries, like I mentioned there. So I'm assuming that's where the Autotrickler is going to shine. I feel like I'm going to get a little bit more consistency, a little bit more speed, maybe not in each individual powder measure, but over the course of 100 or 200 loads. But honestly, I'm actually surprised at how close the Chargemaster was with this. Like when it said it was throwing a consistent load, the A&D scale, which again is a precision measurement instrument, that scale verified that the charge weight was there. So I'm actually not totally sure that my SDs are going to really tighten up, and I may have to look for something else in my load process. So this has been an interesting experiment. I thought this was going to completely blow this out of the water in every way, but the Chargemaster being probably like a third of the cost of this other scale and Trickler combo is actually doing pretty well. So I'm really surprised at that. I'm excited to play around with this more. I am going to do some more precision shooting where this is going to be very important and I have to get as precise as possible. So it was an investment that I was willing to make for that accuracy. But if you're running just a Chargemaster, I really don't think you're missing out unless you're doing something like F-class or bench rest. Those guys are splitting kernels to get the exact measurement. But that's not my style. That's not what I need. If you're just out there shooting, if you're reloading for cost or volume, the Chargemaster is probably going to be fine. And this scale's like 10 years old. I got this like 10 years ago. So while I'm not talking bad about the FX, what is it? The FX120i. I do think it's going to provide value. I think it's going to take me a while to see that value. That initial value is not as much as I thought. So I don't regret buying it, but you know, honestly, I feel like my initial impressions is that the Chargemaster is better than I thought. You know, it does take some tweaking. It does seem to hit its sweet spots. There are some other tricks that you can do to tweak it, but I'm actually really impressed at how consistent it was side by side with this thing. You know, the charge or the Autotrickler we saw throw some, you know, 1 or 2 loads that were over. The Chargemaster has probably been double that from the amount or the frequency perspective. But when it said it was on, it was on. So that's good to know.
All right, folks, well, I'm here at the bench the next day. I did some more testing, just kind of wanted to get a feel for it, and I felt like it was worth updating. Also, I didn't talk about the app, so I'm gonna show a screen recording of the app. I think that's the only way to actually control the Autotrickler part of the combo, but it's really nice. It's very simple, and I like the sliding scales for tuning. I spent maybe 5 to 10 minutes trying the different settings, speed settings for the large and the smaller trickle tube. You know, I think extruded powder is always a challenge because it has the tendency to come out in big clumps. So this was still overthrowing a bit, but I was able to get it tuned in nicely. And the app is pretty simple. I like it. It connects right away via Bluetooth. It's great. So I'll show some of that footage here. And then also I did more testing. I did 10 rounds of 38.5 grains, which is my match load for the 6 Creed. From the Autotrickler, I timed that, and I did 10 rounds on the Chargemaster, timed that. And the Autotrickler wasn't too much faster, but where it really shined was that it was a little more consistent, and it threw less overcharges. And then the Chargemaster takes a long time to kind of figure out, maybe it's the less precise scale or the primitive software that's on there. I'm not really sure, but the Chargemaster takes a lot longer time to actually figure out when it's zeroed to start pouring, and then to figure out when it's stable once it hits that target weight. They both overthrew a bit. You know, I could see the powder kind of dump out at the end as it was trying to trickle. So they both kind of had the same challenge. But overall, the FX120i Autotrickler combo beat it out just in 10 rounds by 30 seconds. I think one went for 5 minutes, one went for 5.5. So just some updates there. I'm gonna keep loading with it, but I wanted to throw that in this video before I moved on because I feel like it was something I missed. So thanks.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It costs you nothing. It really helps me grow the channel. I do periodic giveaways to subscribers, so you won't want to miss that. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was a helpful video of the unboxing, setup, and the side-by-side comparison of the Autotrickler and the Chargemaster. We'll see you next time on The Quality Sportsman.